So, the daughter of two eminent finance professionals who has recently cracked the NID entrance exam and secured first rank across India. We have with us Khushi Purohit. So, hi Khushi.
Hi.
So, it has been said that it's not the pedigree, it's the passion that take you where you are right now. So, it's a great pleasure for us to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, how is everything going on?
Everything's fine. All good. Classes and assignments. That's about it.
And all that stuff. So, this interaction is mostly about that last tips that what we can give to the students, as this is the first entrance exam of the year. You are aware of that. So, it's the first entrance exam. 2 days are only there with them. So, all the students are a little bit nervous. So, any motivation mantra from your side to them that last minute to boost them?
Motivation mantra. Nice. I would say that do not stress about anything. The worst thing that one can do to themselves right before a paper is stress, because whatever we've done, whatever we've prepared, it is sufficient to take us to the next edge of the river, to take us to the other side, and we should believe that, and we should not like not try to burden ourselves with expectations, burden ourselves with what will happen if I don't perform. Just relax, chill out, eat good food, eat healthy food, sleep well before the paper, and don't take stress, because you should be in a happy mood when you're writing the paper, and you should feel happy when you're writing the paper in order for the paper to come out well. So that is what I had done. I slept very I think I slept for 10 hours or something before the paper, and then I had a good breakfast in the morning, and that's what I had done. So don't stress and take care of yourself, because good mood for the paper and good health for the paper is very important.
Yes, so it's better to take rest and then go for the paper.
Yeah.
So exam is just 2 days away from today. So all the aspirants must be ready with entrance exam preparation. So any last minute tip to them?
This is exactly what it is. Sleep, eat well, and don't take stress. This is all I can say at this point.
Yeah. So during your entrance exam days, how did you relieve the burden of huge expectations from your friends and family? There will be many people around that you should clear it or something like that. So how you relieved through that?
So like I said, definitely there were a lot of people who were expecting good outcomes, especially my mother. She was the one who was striving. Like, she had it in her mind that you have to get through NID Ahmedabad come what may. She wasn't even considering anything else. So definitely it was a little burdensome. It does put some additional stress on you. But then at the same time, this is what was motivating me throughout the year to work, not at the very last minute. At the very last minute, even my mom told me that, do what you feel is right in the paper. Do whatever, because I was also in a very bad shape. Like, I mean, 2 days before the paper, you're anxious. It's the most important paper for you, and you're really anxious about it. But my mom had told me this, that be yourself, put what you feel is right, do whatever you do with heart, and you don't have to worry about what will happen if you don't get through, because it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's one paper. It's an important paper, and it's important that we do it well to the best of our abilities. But then that's that. It's that's it. So I'd say don't think about what happens after the paper, because you don't know the result. You won't get to know the result anytime soon. So just do it to the best of your abilities, and forget about expectations and forget about what your friends will think or what your parents will think if this happens or if that happens, because the ifs come into the picture way later, and when they do, we'll deal with them then. So
पेपर देने के बाद भी relax and paper before paper also be relaxed.
Exactly. पेपर देने के बाद तो हो गया ना. So what has been done, it's been done. You don't have to think about it more. Yes. And before the paper, try to relax as much as you can. Don't think about anything other than the paper itself. That, okay, 5-6 questions I'll be getting to draw, a bunch of questions I'll be getting to solve, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And they're not questions, they're more like activities. The moment you look at it in the way you look at activities, it would make it easier, because the stress of a question and a right answer goes away.
Yes.
Gives you more scope to have fun.
Yeah. Okay. So, Khushi, you were in the same situation a few months back, wherein your exam was just 2 days away. I'm sure you would have indulged yourself in meticulous time management and planning your schedule in a very effective manner. So can you throw some light on that how you managed your time just before the exam, what you did and things like that?
More than managing time before the paper, like 2 days before the paper, like I said, I slept. So for me, time management was closing my books 1 day before the paper and just sleep and spend time with mom. Like good night sleep, that is very important. So if you have the luxury of sleeping at this point, you should be, then please go ahead, sleep. And other than that, I think so I was traveling from another city. So for me, my last day, so like the paper is on 2nd, right? For them. Yes. So suppose if my paper was on 2nd, then I had to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning on 2nd to go to the center, because like the paper was later. The paper was around 9:30, if I'm not wrong. But I had to travel from Vadodara to Ahmedabad. That's a 1.5 hour drive approximately. So I got up very early, which is why I slept very early. And like in terms of time management, I'd just say management in general. Pack your bag, check your stationery, check if you've kept everything. I mean, I remember I was halfway through the exam hall when I realized I wasn't carrying my watch. So I had to come out, get my watch, then go back in. And sometimes they might not let you do that. So, all those small things, manage all those things and sleep well. In the paper, time management is a different thing altogether. How you are planning on approaching the paper. Sure, you must have solved a lot of mock tests, or you must have gone through, your own preparation process. So you know what the paper is like to a certain extent, and you know what to expect. So you must have planned out something or the other. For me, my strategy was very simple. This is again something that I had discovered over my period of preparation, and I just revised it. Okay, this is what I have to do before the paper. So for me, I knew that, I wanted to solve the GAT part first and the DAT part later. I also knew that I would take twice the amount of time for the number of marks allotted to a particular question. These were time management strategies I had made for myself, which were working for me. You can be flexible, because, what works for you works for you. What worked for me need not work for you. But from my personal experience, I had a very simple rule that if I am getting a 5-mark or a 10-mark question, I'll take twice the amount of time. 5 marks, I'll take 10 minutes. 10 marks, I'll take 20 minutes. And I was good with GAT. So because I was good with it, I decided that I'll finish it faster and I'll be done with it. So I wanted to do it first. But then if you're good with drawing, you can surely go ahead with the DAT part first and then move on to the GAT, however you want to, whatever works for you. Be comfortable in your environment. And do keep a tab on time, because missing out on any question or missing out on anything before you go for the paper, or just anything of could be a little damaging. So be careful about it. Be careful about your surroundings. Be careful about what you're carrying, what you're not carrying. Have you missed out on anything in the paper? Also make sure you've answered all the questions. Like, try to do that. So that's about it for management and time management.
Okay. So it is important for all the students to check the stationery, that whether they have kept everything with whatever is required over there, and be calm, be comfortable in whatever you choose. So if you are good in some drawing part, then choose drawing first. And what about the set of paper? Like, you get at one time only the design part as well as the aptitude part?
We got both the papers at the same time. So we got two booklets, two different booklets, and one OMR sheet. Three things the exam center provided, and they took back all three. So they give you a GAT booklet, they give you a DAT booklet, and then they give you one OMR sheet wherein you're expected to fill in your answers from the GAT booklet. And all three were provided at the same time for us before the paper, before the timer started. They were all sealed. So
you cannot open.
Yeah, you can't open it before the timer starts. So that is how it was for me. But I've heard that it does happen that sometimes you may not get both booklets at once. That's just something I've heard. I'm not very sure of it. For us, we got it at the same time.
If you got two at the same time, then it was according to you, that whatever you preferred first, you choose that, and then you start the other thing. So it varies from students to students, that whatever they have, like what they are good at, they can opt for it first and then keep the other part for the.
Yeah, definitely.
So, so how would you guide the students in terms of how to approach the examination paper? Because there is something like that, when you go and see the paper, you feel like, oh, like these are the questions that I have to answer. So what was your approach seeing the exam paper, what you saw first, and how it happened?
So I'll talk about my personal experience and my personal approach. But one disclaimer that I'd like to give is, this is my own experience and my own approach. It may not work for everyone else. So I would suggest you don't try to imitate it in the paper, because it might not work out. So what I had done was, I read through my DAT questions first, because they are creative questions. They need time to think. I am a fairly decent multitasker, which is why I could think and solve my GAT at the same time. Somebody who's not a multitasker might not be able to do that. So because I knew I can do that, I went for that. I read my drawing questions. I had them in the back of my mind. I also classified based on marks. So again, a higher weightage question, even if your drawing is subpar or like mediocre, even below mediocre for that matter. If it's a 15-mark question, you might end up getting 6 marks or 7 marks, but it's a 5-mark question, you could get a 0. Yeah. So I had it in mind that I will make sure that I finish all heavy weightage questions first. So I had finalized that, I'll go with my first question first, because it was a drawing question, a drawing perspective question with a little bit of creativity in the mix. A very important thing here is reading the question and trying to understand what it is trying to judge, because the question is designed to judge something. So at the same time, I was doing that also. When I read the question and when I saw the question, because it was a box with a door in it, we were given a drawing area with a door in it. So you try to understand what that question could be for. And obviously, if they've given a door in perspective, it's for perspective and sketching skills. They are, to a certain extent, judging our sketching skills. And at the same time, perhaps they're also trying to look at our creativity and our proportions and our drawing and all things in the mix. So I started thinking about my drawing question and I started solving my GAT. And at the same time, I was making thumbnails. So I was doing multiple things at once. This was what I was doing, but it may not work for you. So try to go for whatever you feel is comfortable for you. But this was my personal approach. So I solved heavy weightage questions first in the drawing segment. I was thinking, solving as in ideating for them. I was also making thumbnails at the same time, because it is good to have your thought process on paper. We get 2 to 4 sheets at the end of the DAT booklet, which are empty, which are for rough work. If they are there for a purpose. So I made it a point to jot down my thought process onto that booklet. I don't know whether NID goes through it or whether it has any weightage or whatever, but it is good, because if at all it is there, if they see that, okay, something has been done here, they'll probably open and see, even if it's not, even if it has no weightage or anything, and it may leave an impact on the examiner that, okay, this person had a process to which they arrived to this thing. So I made it, I was making thumbnails, very rough, very, very rough thumbnails. I was noting down pointers that, okay, this is what I want. This is the caption maybe. And I wrote down 2-3 captions, because we had 2 posters in our paper. Okay. So for every poster, I wrote 3 to 4 different captions. I was thinking about them and I was just noting them down. Like, okay, which one will I use? So I was shuffling between 2 things. I had my rough section open on one side and I had my GAT booklet open on the other. I was also very careful about marking my OMR, because it was a mistake I had made in NIFT. I had made a blunder in NIFT wherein I messed up my OMR marking. I messed up almost half a column of OMR marking, and I was doing it directly with pen. I had no scope to correct in NIFT. So here I made sure, even though there was no point wasting time and doing it with a pencil and then going over it with a pen, that's just waste of time. So what I had done was I marked all my questions on one page first, and then copied it into the OMR, so that I'm finishing one page at a time and I'm not messing up anything, because messing up the OMR can be disastrous.
You cannot change it. If it's done, it's done.
Yeah, exactly. So that was again something I was doing. Also, I was fairly fast at the GAT part, which is why it was not something that I was very worried about. But if you're worried about the GAT part, you can go ahead with the DAT first and, think about GAT in the background or whatever. But it is entirely up to you. Beyond this, other than making thumbnails going in a hierarchy, I was also keeping a very strict tap on time when I was solving my paper. So I was dead focused that I need to finish the paper, because missing out a question is not worth it in the paper. If you're completing the paper, you are halfway there.
Yes.
So completing the paper is also very important. And the last thing was, okay, many a times it happens that some question you read either in the GAT part or in the DAT part, which you have no clue about. So for me, the bullying question, the question on bullying, we had one question on bullying. We had to make a poster on bullying. I had no clue what I would do. Like, I was blank when I read that question. And it was the only question I felt that way. Completely blank. I have nothing in my mind. What am I going to draw? So that might happen in the paper, but do not get anxious about it. Because
the question that you don't know.
Yeah. So I did that question on my 4th position. Like, I had 5 questions for drawing. I did it second last. I solved it second last. So, this is also very important. Like, okay, even though it is a heavy weightage question, just try to, forget about it for the moment and try to work on what you know and what you are getting. And then you can get back to it. You can think about it. You can take your time to think about it. Maybe if you're just like catching something, or if you're just adding a few details here and there, at that particular point of time, you're not thinking much. So if you're not thinking much, start thinking about the question that you got stuck on. The same you can do for the GK part as well. It may be that, some reasoning question, some pattern question, something you might get stuck on, you wouldn't know the answer. Just circle that question, get back to it later. Wasting time on it there, sitting blank, is not going to work. Do not sit blank in the paper because, like, yeah, exactly. Because the time is a luxury in the paper. So, like, if you're staring at the page, wondering what to do, that shouldn't happen. Like, I made sure that didn't happen. If you're stuck at a question, you read it, you understood it, you saw the options, you can't figure out which one it is, circle it, move on. Give it like 45 seconds, give it a minute, give it 1 minute 30 seconds, but not more than that. Don't pause, and just continue, move on, and then you can always come back to it. Also, if you have like a gut instinct, mark it with a pencil, because an OMR sheets even registers pencil. It's not like it doesn't register pencil. So mark it with a pencil. You can get back to it and change it if you want, whatever. Because again, NID doesn't have a negative marking. So you should not leave any question, because no negative marking. If you're getting it right, you're getting brownie points. So that was basically how I was going around throughout the paper.
So for all the students that use OMR sheet very nicely, very carefully, if you are very sure about the option, you can choose that. Otherwise, you can tick it and keep it and do it later. So Khushi, you were multitasking. You can think one way and do the other part, but there maybe many students don't have this kind of, this kind of ability that they can do two things together. So if you are not good at that, then whatever you want to solve first, look into that first and do that particular part first, and leave the other part, read it later on and do it on that particular time. So yeah. I am also that kind of person. I cannot do two things together. It is very difficult for me. I can concentrate on one thing once and then only I can move to other part. So yeah, so it was Khushi's way that how she solved the paper. So as you have discussed that it is very important to attempt all the questions. So you said it earlier that it is important for the student to attempt all the questions. So how important it is to attempt all the questions? Because there will be some students, they say that general aptitude hai, mujhe nahi aata, and then they leave. So how it is very important for students to attempt, whether it's related to drawing also, if there is some question, like supposedly you got the bullying one, and if students feel like the question mujhe nahi aata, I can leave that because I'm attempting 4 questions. If I leave one, that is fine. So what is your say in that attempting all questions is important?
My personal take is that, you should attempt every single question in the paper. That is my personal belief. Even if you don't know an answer in, say, GAT, for example, let's start there. Whatever you feel is right, go for it. GK, if you've read, like kuch bhi GK ka, if you've studied also, or if you've read also throughout the year, it is there in the back of your mind. It's there in your subconscious mind. You just forgotten it. And that is totally fine. That is natural. But when you see 4 options and if your gut instinct is ki haan ye hoga, just go for it. Tick it, lock it, go for it, because leaving it is missing out a shot. If it's a 1 mark question, GK questions are, I think, half a mark questions. They're not even 1 mark. So
right, you get that half straight up.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's right, you get those half marks. If it's wrong, it doesn't matter. It was going to be wrong anyways. And they don't have a negative marking. Exactly. And if you leave it, you're missing out on that 50% chance that, okay, you might get it right, which is not worth it, because even half a mark at a later stage, like if your ranks is in the hundreds or in the 200s, even half a mark can make a difference of 50 ranks, maybe more, maybe 100 ranks. So, that is not worth it. Losing on so many ranks just because half a mark is not worth it. Like this I understood from NIFT. My friend and I, we had a gap of over 100. No, her rank was in the 400s, mine was in the 700s.
Okay.
So 300, over 300 ka margin within 1.5 marks.
So you can imagine that
So
attempt
exactly.
question is also so important.
So
And there
yeah,
will be four options, so you can relate that this can be probably the like right answer. So you can, if you don't know, you can write that in the paper.
exactly. As far as the drawing part is considered, okay. So I'll just share an incident. It happened with another person who was attempting the paper with me. She had a very good rank in NID, and um, so what happened was she was running low on time, extremely low on time, and she had the same bullying question left. She just scribbled color, wrote a big caption, and left it.
Uh-huh.
And it worked in her favor because somehow it captured the essence of bullying, even though it was just scribbled color and a big caption. Attempting that fetched her marks. If she would have left it blank, she would
won't.
have gotten a 0. She
Yes.
did something, she might have gotten 1 mark, 2 marks. It hit the brief and they liked it, which is why she had a decent rank. I'm guessing she got good marks in that question. So, you know,
You don't know
not
what question,
exactly.
what marks. It is important.
Exactly. Because how the examiner is going to interpret it, you really don't know. Maybe, like just imagine, no, one really catchy caption written in red, surrounded with like dull color, it conveys bullying to a certain extent and it grabs attention. So even if you can't think of anything, or even if you aren't coming up with something that you think really works, do what you feel is right and do it. Don't There is no point leaving a blank OMR row and a blank box for drawing. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Try to answer every question, even if you're running low on time. Scribble if you have to, but like if you have 1 minute left and one entire question left, try not to arrive at this kind of a situation. But if at all you do reach that kind of situation, just do whatever, because leaving that question is the worst thing you can do to yourself for a creative paper.
Later on, you will regret also that why I left this particular question. I could have attempted some small drawing also.
Exactly.
So, Khushi, some do's and don'ts you think student can do and they should avoid doing while doing the paper?
Do's and don'ts of the paper. Okay. Again, I'll be speaking from my personal experience. What I saw, what I experienced, what my batchmates did, what I did. I can speak from that perspective. First off, it's a very, very subjective paper. Keep that in mind. So, like I said, if you know that it's a subjective paper, you do your best. How it's being judged is a different story altogether. You'll not feel stressed before the paper. So first thing is, don't feel stressed before the paper. Feel happy during the paper. Second thing is, yeah, make sure you're carrying everything, because everything has an okay. Pencils are important, eraser, sharpener. Try to carry 2, because you'll drop one, then you'll look for it, and that kind of waste time. This was something my teachers told me, so I'm just passing it on. So
also for the students that they should carry at least a sharpener and a eraser too, so in case they miss one, they have as a backup option.
Exactly. So carry 2, carry pencils, pencil colors, crayons. Do not carry wet mediums. Like even if you're good at it, this is one particular case where even if you're good at wet mediums, don't carry it. Because if you spill water on your sheet, or if it doesn't dry and you can't move on to the next question, it's a complete waste of time. So don't carry wet mediums. If you're carrying a water bottle, don't keep it on your table. I don't think NID, I don't think allows a water bottle in the exam hall. NIFT did, and one person had it on the table and it was dripping because, water droplets. And that's just dangerous. So if at all you're allowed to carry a water bottle, don't keep it on the table. Then don't look around. Okay, this is a very for somebody who's been taught to observe everything everywhere. Asking you guys to do this is kind of weird, but do not look around once you get your paper, because when you see one person coloring something, you want to color. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe your drawing is sufficient and you need to do the next thing, but looking around will tempt you into certain things. It will also tempt you into thinking in a certain direction. I don't know if I've shared this before with VRDS itself, but again, I learned from my previous mistakes. For me, NID was my last paper. My most important was my last paper. And I had learned from NIFT, wherein we had this question of making an emoji. And I saw a person sitting next to me making a yellow emoji, and I made a yellow emoji in my paper. It is a creative paper. Do not look around. Do not, because even you wouldn't even realize it, but your thoughts get blocked. If you turn, you see a person making a yellow emoji, even though you've been thinking about making a unicorn, you will lose that thought and you will make a yellow emoji, because it is a competitive paper. It is always,
what others are doing, we get fascinated.
Exactly. And it really restricts you. So don't look around. So in the paper, do not look around.
You don't get also enough time to look somewhere else. It's like
even if accidentally, because for me it happened accidentally. It wasn't like I had ample time and I was just wasting it, but I just looked up, I turned, I saw something, and then I made it. So that is very disastrous and you can't help it. So stick to your paper. If you want to look at something else for a second or two, just look at the examiner. They'll remind you to look back into your paper. So there's that. Read the questions very, very carefully, because all questions have a certain brief. Now, in the paper, I had followed it. Now, in NID, I'm unable to, but you're always given a brief. You're given a margin to work within, and you can't overstep that margin. And that is with every question. There is a margin, a very broad one, because it's a creative paper for a lot of kids. So you have a very broad margin, but you need to hit the brief. They're asking for a poster, give them a poster. They're asking for a storyboard, give them a storyboard. Be creative, but be creative within your story or within your poster or within whatever they're asking. Because, if they're asking you, you're attending online class and your sibling is coming and bothering you, and you miss out the sibling part or the online class part, it's not hitting the brief.
You will not do the justice.
So, exactly. Read the question very carefully. Read every element of it. Our very first question had a lot of elements. Online class, open door, sibling coming and bothering you, that too in a creative way. Lots of things going around. You miss out one, it doesn't work in your favor.
Your ideation is overall get impacted because you missed one particular.
Yes. I mean, just imagine, if you read the question, you read it once. You heard online class, but you do not and you are attending online class. So it has to be your perspective. What do you see? Now, if you make a third view or a third person perspective, that slight thing makes you lose marks.
Every mark is important, as we discussed.
Exactly. So read the question very carefully. How you perceive it is a different thing. Because perception always happens in a certain margin. But reading it very carefully, you are attending online class, your sibling is coming and bothering you. What do you see? Very specific question. So, and within that, you can obviously work around. You're given a room. So you can show your creative abilities in designing that room, how you make the room, or how your sibling is bothering you. So that creative and observational aspect also. You are attending online class. What does the UI UX of an online class look like? So this was my question. You might get a completely different question, but ultimately you will get a question on the similar lines, which is judging the same things.
So reading the question very carefully
Yeah.
is very important. Before attempting the question, you can read it twice so that you get clear picture that they are asking this and we want to prepare this.
Exactly. Because it's very important to hit the brief. Also, I don't know, this is something very personal to me. There was this question on tea we had, wherein they had asked us to, make a poster and show the process of making tea, both. And we were given one single box. Okay. One single box. Yes. And we had to make the poster of the process of making tea. Some students must have bifurcated it. They must have divided it in 4 parts. That box, one box that we were given. I don't know how they divided it. I don't know how it was done. I don't know how the examiner took it. But my personal feeling was that you shouldn't do that. If it's not given, we had 2 storyboards. We had 2 questions on storyboards in our paper.
And division was there.
And the division was there. So if they wanted us to divide, they would have given a division. So that was one thing that my personal feeling was that, it could probably benefit you to stick to what they're giving. Another thing was layout. If they've given a vertical box, let it be vertical. Don't turn your paper and draw horizontally. Try to avoid that. Sometimes you might get an idea which works that way and works that way only. So that's an exceptional case. If you think that your idea is great, you can't fit it vertically into the orientation, then go for it. But try not to change the layout that has been given, because it will not work. I don't think it does, because this was also something one of my seniors mentioned in her video, Samruddhi, that changing the layout doesn't work. And I had seen it in her video, and then I had it in my mind. So
this can be really important for students, that if you are getting some particular size box or anything like that, horizontal or vertical, use it like that only.
Yeah.
And another thing you said, use rough sheet. So they can use rough sheet to explore different things, and then whatever is right.
Exactly.
Put it on the paper. So in that meanwhile, they can they can keep more and more ideas, and do not rub it. You don't.
Yeah, don't rub it. Don't rub anything.
Yeah, examiner will see that rough page also, and he must be knowing that this is the idea he or she thought of.
Yeah, exactly. So rough work is, I think it's very important. I missed out on it, but yeah. Noting down your thumbnails, they help you 2 ways, because one is you get your entire thought process on paper, which the examiner sees. The other is you have a smaller version of what you're finally going to make on paper. So you know what it's going to look like. If you start drawing right out of your head, sometimes we start drawing a human figure right out of our head, and we miss out on the proportion. We miss out on, and then we work around that human figure instead of making what we wanted to make. So that was again something that, okay, some people who are very good at sketching, they might have a great sense of perspective and a great sense of proportion. I did not have that good sense of proportion and perspective. So I chalked out everything. That I'll put my text here, I'll put my image here, and I just made it like very light lines, very, very light lines. I just chalked it out that this is where this will come, this is where this will come, because you have a said amount of space in which you have to work, and working well in that said amount of space is important. So that is also something that thumbnails really help you with. They help you sort out your idea. At the same time, you can jump back and forth. Like if you're just thinking about it, if you're just thinking that, okay, I'll make tea like this, or I'll make tea like this, and then you've forgotten what you originally thought of. But if you have it on paper, you have it in front of you. If you want to pick out an element or two from there, you can pick out that element and then go ahead with whatever you want to move ahead with. So that is also there.
So in this, you have mentioned that using color. So did you got enough time to use colors in your exam, and what do you suggest? How students should go about using the colors? Because when I also listen to a lot of students, they say that whether we should use colors, and what is the quality also, like the paper quality, what you got. This was the question asked by one of the students.
So the paper quality that we get is fairly decent, I would say. It's slightly thicker than copier paper, just slightly. And okay, so if you're using any kind of sketch pen or marker, it will seep through. That will get on the other side. So water-based mediums and ink-based mediums, bhuli jao. Don't even think about it, because those don't work. People who have been working with it, they might know a few that might work, but they don't. So that's that. Carry color pencils and oil pastels, or like soft whatever pastels, whatever wax crayons or something, crayons and pencil colors, mainly pencil colors. That is what I was advised.
Whatever student is comfortable
yeah,
crayon or whatever color medium.
Yeah, whatever dry color medium you are comfortable with, you can carry that. But as far as coloring questions is considered, so we had a fairly decent amount of time in the paper, because we had a 60-40 paper, not like 40 marks for GAT and 60 for drawing instead of 70-30. That reduces 10 marks of drawing. So 10 marks is as good as one extra question. So if you don't have one extra question for drawing, you do tend to get some extra time for, beautifying, basically. Yeah. So I knew that people were coloring every question. I knew that. I colored one question.
Okay.
And I barely colored the second question, and both of which were posters. So, because ultimately the quality matters as well. You can scribble pencil color in, everything and make it look shabby, or you can color one thing well if you have time, one thing that has a heavy weightage, and be okay with it. So I wasn't, and it's also a matter of whether you're good at it. Now, color was again something that I haven't worked with much. My strength was always pen work when I was preparing for NID. I used to work with a black pen. That's it. That was my strength. I worked on it for so many years, like for 18 years. That was the only thing I did. So I was good at it. Similarly, some people might be using pencil colors for ages. They might be really good at it. So you should definitely go for it. You guys must be having the confidence to even like directly do it. So people who do that and people who are comfortable doing that, you should stick to that. But for people who have only worked with pencil, or who have not worked much on drawing, or who've like worked with pen like me, for them, I would advise that don't pressure yourself into coloring anything. Color is it's a dangerous thing to tread into. So for the paper, because if your color scheme does not go with your theme, it speaks of a bad design.
Like you're not sure about it.
Exactly. So I mean, you have to think about your color scheme. You have to think about what medium you'll use. You have to think about what you want to color. You have to think how you want to color. And all of that in the paper is very time consuming. So few tips that I can give though related to color is that first off, color if you have time only, provided the question hasn't asked you. If the question is asking you to color, then color.
Yeah,
then you have to color. But if the question is not asking you to color, then only color if you have the time to. Secondly, I would suggest if you are like me, then don't color be less mark questions. Pick one question or maybe two questions that you want to color and color only those. And be a little smart about it. So coloring a background with a pencil color is going to take a lot of time. So use a crayon, like flatten it and use it. Maybe it will be faster. And then you can, fill in those tiny details or like neaten it out with a color pencil or whatever. So those things also keep in mind what you're using to color, because you have to be fast.
Yeah. So first, that also, if like they can just draw whatever comes to their mind and all the question. At last, if they get time, they can color the major portion. It's not necessary that the whole drawing should be colored one. They can They can just come part and they can draw there in one question. They can do like that also. It will save the time, and if they are interested in colors, then it will look good also, the drawing as well.
Exactly. Because see, the ultimate thing, what matters is the overall impact. Somebody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s will be checking your paper. Somebody, you don't even know who. And that somebody will flip through 1,000 papers. And your paper, if it doesn't stand out in terms of neatness, in terms of concept, in terms of ideation, in terms of presentation, in terms of work, in terms of anything, it's not worth it. So even in boards, teachers, constantly talk about good handwriting. It's the same thing here. If you're coloring shabbily, there is no point coloring. If your color scheme is off, there is no point coloring. If they've not asked you to color, there is no point coloring. Coloring doesn't have marks then. It is just about beautifying it. So I had time, decent amount of time. And I had a 15-mark question, which was looking very bland. I mean, when I was looking at it, I couldn't feel the sense of depth. I couldn't feel the sense of, I wasn't liking it myself, my tea poster, when I had just drawn it in line drawing. So I decided to color it, and I colored. Choosing what you color is very important. Do not color everything. You don't have to. Even like ma'am said, you can just color a part of it. So for my bullying poster, I just made a red outline to my human figure. That's it. One red outline. That was the only color other than black and white. So
coloring the whole thing, but as discussed with my seniors also, it is like that if you color some part of the drawing, then also it will work.
Yeah, there is always, the more you get into design, you understand that there is always a reason to do something a certain way. Right now, because we are amateurs, we don't think about the reason much. And we just feel, okay, this is right, we'll do it. And that is design sense. But later you'll have to justify it, why you did it. So if just think about, like whatever, don't stress about coloring. Don't. Color only if you want to, only if you have time, and only if it is enhancing your work. The more you work on your thing, there is a heavier chance of you spoiling it than actually improving it. So keep that in mind, and be yourself in your paper. Do what you feel is right, do what you feel is correct, go with your gut instinct, think of your ideas, try to forget everything I've said so far, and kind of, so this is very off topic, but I think this might really help everybody who is going to watch this. Every single question in my paper had a bit of my personality. It spoke of who I am as a person. I did not consciously do that. I wasn't in the paper. I wasn't thinking about putting my personality on paper. I was very stressed, and even though I've talked about not being stressed, I was very stressed, and I was, I wanted to do my level best in my paper. So, so we had a question about a sibling. I have a sibling. I made what we had already previously done. We had a question about a game, tic-tac-toe. It's something that I've played in school with my friends, with my sister.
You relate there and
Exactly. We are not cautiously doing it. We're not cautiously generating an idea which speaks of ourselves. But even those small things that you do in your paper or small decisions that you take in your paper speak a lot of who you are as a person. I made a dog in my room. The question did not ask us to make a dog. I made it nonetheless because I like dogs and I wanted to add that whimsical charm to my paper. So, whatever you want to do that within that boundary that I've spoken of, within that boundary of that brief. Because every single thing, and if you do it with heart and if you do it with happiness, it will automatically come. Like I wasn't thinking about, making my tic-tac-toe game such that it talks of my relation with my sister. I wasn't cautiously doing that. It happened. Exactly. So, and it happened because I was doing it with a lot of heart. If there is one thing I can be very honest about, I had put my heart and soul into that one single paper. I was very happy with the outcomes. I walked out happy. I was like, I will clear the paper.
you were that confident after giving the
I after the paper, I was like, I should be able to clear the paper. I came back, I overthink, I did all that, and then I was like, हाँ नहीं होगा, नहीं होगा. But
the moment you stepped out, you were like,
exactly. You should feel happy the moment you step in, and you should feel happy the moment you step out. And you will feel happy if you are happy throughout. So don't let a question phase you. Don't let anything phase you, because happens. There will be questions that you will not know answers to. There will be questions that you might not be able to generate ideas to. Try to associate also. You've done so many things. You've solved so many questions in your preparation. You can always associate. Acha, iska nahi mil raha. Like, had I done something similar, if I can't find an answer to this, like, okay, bullying I haven't done, but did I do anything which was similar on bullying, which I could associate to bullying, which I could relate to bullying? It's a very good strength to have as a creative thinker. Something you read, something you saw, something somewhere you did, and you can use it in your paper. So don't get phased. I was blank when I saw bullying wala question. I was completely blank, but I didn't let it phase me, and that is very important. Don't stress out the moment you see something that you don't know, because that will happen. It's a paper designed to judge so many things.
But it's okay. You can think over it.
Yeah.
You can. That is also good that you did something or other related to that in your past. You can relate to that and put it on paper, something or other, and then you can club it and make some good drawing out of it.
Yeah.
It was a great tip. So, to sum up the entire conversation, one last message you would like to convey to all the students who will be giving exam on this 2nd January?
First off, Happy New Year. Please go celebrate with your friends and your family. Celebrate New Year with a lot of heart. Have a lot of fun. Eat well, sleep well, take care of yourself. Don't fall sick. Put in as much heart as you can in that paper. Because if you love what you do, it becomes very easy. I mean, there will be things that you will not like about that paper, and that's okay. Because there are things you don't like about, like, it's fine. Very, very normal for you to not like certain things in that paper. But things that you do like, things that do inspire or, make you question or make you draw with a lot of love, do that. Put a lot of heart in that paper. Put lots of happiness. Be very happy during the paper, and best of luck.
So thanks, Khushi. Yeah, it was a great session. I hope students will get like a lot of advantage of seeing the video, following your tips, and doing what exactly fit their strategies or their approach. So thank you so much for being with us today. It was really great, and it was an interactive session. I also got to learn something from your lines, from your statements. So yes, thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. But yeah, I mean, no stress and only happiness and only heart. That's it.
Yes, no stress, no happiness. Just enjoy and see the paper. Then also enjoy when you're coming out. Then also be happy that finally you did it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Khushi.
Thank you.